Hi guys, this is Nadya and Andreeva from spinachandyoga.com, and this is another Happy Belly interview with one of my friends, Sadia Khan. And we're doing this series of interviews to celebrate the launch of my book, Happy Belly, Women's Guide to Feeling Vibrant, Light, and Balanced. Sadia is an Ayurvedic health practitioner in New York, but she also does Skype consultations. She completed her studies at the Ayurvedic Institute with Dr. Vasant Lad, and that's the best training in Ayurveda you can get. She's also a doula, an Ayur yoga instructor, and the founder of Home Shanti, an organizing business where she helps people bring calm and clarity to homes and offices. So, Sadia, I'm super excited to talk to you today because I know you on a personal level, not just through online, which happens a lot in this world, but you have such an amazing Shakti or energy, and I feel like you're a natural
Thank you.
healer. So I'm really excited to share some of your wisdom with the audience.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell me, what is a happy belly for you? How do you know if your belly is happy?
So, a happy belly for me means a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But on a physical level, it means that there's no abdominal discomfort, there's no gas or bloating, there are regularity of bowel movements, just a feeling of good absorption. It really means having a balanced Agni or digestive fire. So that means that it doesn't feel manda, which is known as dull or slow. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you eat something and you feel like it's just kind of sitting there. So you don't want that. And then you don't want tikshna agni, which is when you feel like this sharp intensity of hunger where you eat something
That's me.
and an hour later you're like, where did that even go?
That's so me.
So it's really about having balanced agni. So we want sama or balanced agni so that there's just regularity thing of digestion. The rates are not too fast or too slow
Yeah.
as well.
So, how do we get a balanced Agni? Actually, tell us first. What does it feel when it's balanced? We know that it can feel dull when it's kind of um, slower and the food can sit in the stomach and it can feel heavier. There's also another one where it's much stronger, so it's burning a lot and um, it gets people a lot hungrier.
Mhm.
So I guess that's where the difference between hunger and appetite comes in, right? So is it real hunger?
I would say it does feel like real hunger because your digestion is just burning through. It's overactive.
Hmm.
So it's not just an emotional factor. It's physically you're just burning really quickly through your food.
So it's not something that people can say, well, I'm just like bored and that's why I'm hungry all the time. It's
No, no, I think it's very different than emotional eating,
okay.
which despite whether what your Agni state is, whether it's Manda or Tikshna, you can have emotional eating with any
Yeah.
kind of
Beautiful.
digestion.
I love that you create this distinction. So the balanced Agni, how does it feel in the body when somebody has it?
Well, when you have a balanced Agni, it just feels like there is this contentment.
Hmm.
The belly or the nabi is a solar plexus. It's also the seat of Manipura, which is a third chakra, and there it has a deep connection of an overall feeling of contentment or satisfaction. So when things are working to par,
Hmm.
like energetically, you just feel this like inner contentment. It's also the seat of self esteem. So when the energy of this chakra flows freely, you just feel like there's more vitality, there's more balance and strength also. So it's kind of just like a feeling that emanates from that area, from that region.
Yeah, I love that. So it's not just a feeling of like regular hunger, it expands into other areas of how you feel.
Yeah, there's physical manifestations, there's emotional, spiritual manifestations of it as well, for sure.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so what does for you personally, what does it help you to create this balanced Agni?
So I do a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
to get me here, and it's a process for sure. Uh, One thing that I cannot do without is Abhyanga, which is probably my most favorite Ayurvedic practice. So, Abhyanga, for those of you who don't know, is a warm self oil massage. And these days I use sesame oil because it's Vata season, there's dryness, cold, rough, mobile qualities. So, I use sesame oil, which is really penetrating and heating for my specific body type and imbalance. Um, so when I do this, I start from the head, I work down, and when I get to my belly, then I really focus on the belly.
Mm-hmm.
And I will press on certain marma points, which will activate digestion. Also, massaging in a clockwise direction helps the movement from the ascending to the descending colon. So spending a little extra time on the belly feels really nice.
Yeah.
And then continuing with Abhyanga, taking a warm shower or bath afterwards, and that is one of my favorite practices that I do.
Yeah, and that also brings a point of nourishment into the light of like not nourishing just with food, but also nourishing with oil because skin absorbs everything.
Absolutely. And it's really important, as you know, in
Yeah.
this city, especially. I mean, for everyone, but especially here, to nourish yourself and to have some time for self-care in the day.
Yeah, and I also feel like for a lot of people, doing a massage, a self massage, seems such a huge commitment, and they think it's just like there's no way I can fit it into my day.
You know,
How long does it take?
I felt like that for a long time. When I went to Ayurvedic school and they told me about this self-oil massage, I was like, who has time for this?
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like such a process, but it's all about having the setup. The setup is key. I have my towel that I put down. I have my mug warmer. I put my glass jar on that. I go and do my business. And I have like a little space that I've created. So it really does not add on more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on how much time I have, I might spend extra time. But as little as 15 minutes can really shift the entire day.
I totally agree with you. And would you say that it's a must to do in the morning, or is it okay to do at night?
I think it's okay to do it whenever you feel that you have the time. I personally like to do it in the morning, but for a lot of other people, they like to do it at night because it does bring on some relaxation after taking a warm bath or shower.
Yeah.
It can be really good for insomnia or other issues of the nervous system.
Good. I like it. Okay, let's get back to the belly. What else helps to keep the Agni balanced?
So I avoid all cold beverages. So during the day, I drink lots of warm water, and I will sometimes drink it with fresh ginger or with lemon, or sometimes just even plain throughout the day. And that's made a huge difference in my overall hydration. And it just makes my belly feel good, especially with the ginger and lemon. It's really nice. And another thing that I do is I take Triphala, which especially these days I find really helpful. And Triphala not only helps to have a good bowel movement, it also helps in scraping any toxins from the body. And it helps with malabsorption, which is notorious with people. So
Yeah.
it's really great.
Good. So what are some things that make Agni imbalanced?
So some things that make Agni imbalanced are going to be not eating at regular times every day, eating too much or eating too little, eating too many leftover foods, eating foods that are aggravating your doshas. So if you're already feeling dry and anxious, and maybe you have a tendency towards insomnia and you're eating lots of popcorn, which also has those qualities of dry mobility, then you're just, making matters worse.
I love the way Ayurveda connects popcorn to insomnia and
It's really great. It's really simple. When you start
Yep.
looking at the qualities in your food and the qualities in your body and your mind, it just becomes
Yeah, it
very
makes the,
second nature.
yep.
And that's one of the things I love about this. It's such a science of self-healing. Um, so you just have to get aware of what's going on, and then you have certain tools, and you're good to go.
Perfect. Is there anything else that creates imbalanced Agni?
Well, there's incompatible food combining, which is something that is completely, I feel, lost in this culture. So foods digest at different rates. So if you eat, for example, fruit with other types of food, the fruit just might sit there and might create toxins in the body, or what we call ama. So it's important to pay attention to the food combinations and keeping it more simple. I feel like
Yes.
my belly definitely does better with simplicity, with having fresh ingredients, and just not overcomplicating things. I think our lives are already too complicated, so simplifying the food makes a big difference.
I so agree. It's like 5 ingredients and you're good to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any specific foods that, according to Ayurveda, would either help to balance digestion and digestive fire, or, on the other hand, create an imbalance?
Any specific foods? Well, I would say it depends on the person. It's nothing across the board that I can
Yeah.
think of so much. And that's kind of the beauty of Ayurveda. It's all about who you are and what your place of imbalance is as to what you should be eating. There can be 2 people sitting next to each other, and it might be amazing for one person to have this one food and really not good for another person.
Yeah.
So, someone who has a little bit more kapha, who needs a little bit more sharpness and heat, could maybe have something spicy. Whereas if there's like a pitta person's, that's definitely not what you want to give them. So it kind of just depends who the person is.
Yeah, and I love this about Ayurveda as well. So it's more about reading the signs of your body, recognizing them, and then making choices based on the imbalance that you have right now. So let's talk a little bit, like give people just some basic idea of how they can recognize Vata in themselves and what can help, and then how they can recognize Pitta in their digestive system and what can help, and then do the same for Kapha. So
Sure.
how can Vata show up in the digestive system?
So Vata, we kind of spoke about a little bit. So you will know that your Vata is high if you're having any gas or bloating in your belly, if you're feeling like gurgling in your intestines, that you might also know that you have Vata. If you have a tendency towards constipation, then you know that Vata is present also, as well as the emotional factors that we talked about. So any kind of like lots of stress or fear, anxiety, those are also signs that Vata is out of balance. So for Vata, then you would want to eat foods that are going to be the opposite qualities. So you want to have foods that are grounding with good oils in it. You want to favor warm cooked foods.
Soups.
So I would soups and stews and root vegetables. Using ghee and sesame oil is going to be really nice. Using warming spices. Mustard seeds are black mustard seeds are very warming. So having that in your food. So those are some of the things. Avocados, those really nice oils too. And then for Pitta, you might feel Pitta is out of balance if you're feeling heartburn or acid reflux or any kind of like burning or inflammation. And then emotionally, like if you're feeling agitated or irritated or angry or impatient or overly critical.
Yeah.
These are some.
And I think
Pitta
overly
qualities.
critical, not necessarily of others, but of yourself
Of
as
yourself, of course. Yeah, definitely. So in that case, you want to favor foods that are more cooling. So you want to add cilantro into your diet, coconut, You can drink coconut water. Hibiscus tea is very cooling. You want to, just using ghee is going to be a nice practice. So you want to avoid chili peppers and things that are sour and things that already have that heat in them.
Yeah.
So those are some things for pitta.
No ketchup and spicy tomato sauce for you.
No, no. And then every food has a quality too. So it's post-digestive effect on the body. So it's really good to learn some of these things about, what happens. It's not that you eat something hot and it's hot in your belly. Every food has a quality. So like lemons are known to be more heating and limes are known to be more cooling. So then you would know that in the wintertime, I'm going to have more lemon, and in the summertime, I'll have more limes. So things like that, knowing the qualities of what's happening.
So let's do for kapha.
Okay, so kapha, if you're feeling like you're eating and the food is just sitting there, and there's this dullness, with kapha, there's lots of edema and like excess damp conditions. So any kind of like built up mucus or just that slow feeling in your belly, then you really want to get things moving. So for kapha, it's okay to have some spicy food. Some warming spices are going to be great for kapha. You want to avoid foods like cheese and dairy and things that are going to be
probably nuts.
Yeah, well, some for sure. But you don't want to have as much sticky, dull quality. So you want to definitely stay away from the ice cream.
Yes. And kaphas love their ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're, how far away you are from being balanced, you might have what we call perverted or healthy cravings.
Yeah.
So if you're very far from being balanced, then you're gonna crave things that are going to pull you even further out of balance. And if you're just kind of imbalanced, then you might crave healthy, what we call healthy cravings. So things that are going to bring you back into balance.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, the body craves what it knows at any current moment. So if you're feeding it cookies, it's not going to start craving kale.
True.
So
sure.
it makes all the difference. So what are some basic first steps if somebody is just starting to rebalance their digestion? What are some basic steps that they can do starting tomorrow?
Well, I would say with anyone, it's really good to, like you said, start simple. And all the practices that I'm doing, it took a long time to implement all of them. So gradually, working with where you're at. So let's say you don't eat meals regularly, and that is something that stands out. Then really try to do that. Really eat a simple breakfast, like a really hearty lunch and a gentle dinner, and really make times for that. And not just any times, like you want to eat between, closest to noon for lunch and, much earlier, at least by 7, 8 a.m. for breakfast, and dinner, not too late at night. So really working on that. Other basic things are like filling your stomach to the right amount. And I think that is a huge problem. We really live in a society that's just excessive. So we eat excessively, and ideally you want to have a stomach that is a third full with food, a third with water, and a third empty. And what we're doing is we're just filling ourselves all the way to the top.
Yeah.
And there's all these issues that are coming out of that. So being aware of that to stop before you've reached full satisfaction. Then another basic thing is mindful eating, which I think is huge.
I can't say it's basic, but yeah.
It's huge. It's huge. Just being aware of the triggers. When you're eating, why am I eating this?
Yeah.
Is it true hunger? What do I hope to get out of eating this? And then really making time for food, making sure you're sitting up straight. I like to have 3 belly breaths before beginning to eat. It just kind of puts you into a space of mindfulness. Other things I would say is to have simple food combinations.
Mm-hmm.
So really favor fresh ingredients. And you don't need that much of it, just having really simple, fresh things that are local and in season makes a huge difference.
Love it. All genuine things are simple.
Yes.
So Sadia, if somebody wants to get an Ayurvedic consultation with you, what can they expect and where can they find you?
So in a consultation, an initial consultation, I take a detailed intake of the person's entire life, which will include their family history, their medical history. I'm going to want to know everything that you eat and do in the day, how you feel when you wake up, how you feel after meals. We really get very involved. And then other than that, pulse diagnosis is a huge way to see what's going on with the doshas, as well as the tongue. The tongue doesn't lie, shows it all. We do fingernail analysis. I look at the eyes. I look at facial lines. And according to that, I will see what is going on with your prakruti and your vikruti. And then I will suggest diet and lifestyle recommendations, as well as breathing practices, herbs that can be taken, yoga, and a lot more recipes. So that's kind of how it works. If you're interested in a consultation, you can reach me at ayurvelaforthepeople@gmail.com.
And we'll put the email right below the video.
Great.
Thank you, Sadia, so much for joining us. I love all your tips. Guys, make sure to subscribe so you can watch all other Happy Belly interviews, because each one of them is very special and there's something very unique about it. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.